this is my only DNF of the year. Eat our main protagonist. I think it is safe to say that I hated the second book, giving this 5 stars, which, spoiler alert, did not happen. Hello, lovely bookworms. I'm Esmay from Paradise of Pages on Instagram and also on Twitter, and welcome to a new video. Today is my least favorite books of 2021 day, aka my most disappointing books. I wouldn't call these the worst books of the year because I feel like, they are the worst books of the year for me, but they are definitely worst books because it's just something that I didn't enjoy. So that said, I have 7 books to talk about today. I feel like some of these will be a little bit controversial, also a little bit weird, but I will talk about this as we go. And yeah, let's just stop putting this off and let's start with the first book. Okay, so the first book is one that I honestly don't even remember that much, and that is The Star-Touched Queen by Roshani Chokshi. This is a book that I actually received as a gift, like it's still in here, and I feel so bad about this, but I really didn't enjoy it. It was basically about a girl who was cursed to have the marriage of death, and other than that, I don't remember that much. The only thing I do remember is that I thought that the main protagonist and love interest were not my thing. It is a desert vibe book, so I feel like someone will probably like this, and I would have expected to love it. And I just didn't. It was rushed, it was weird. I think there was even like some kind of animal that wanted to eat our main protagonist, I think. I really don't remember that much, which is usually the case if I don't really enjoy a book. It just immediately gets pushed out of my mind. And I do still want to read the sequel, probably, to just finish off the duology, because I think it's a duology. But this was just not it for me, sadly. And like I said, I don't remember that much. I feel like Roshani Chokshi has written a lot of amazing books. But this one wasn't it for me. And though I'm really sad about that, it is what it is. And so this has made it onto my most disappointing list. Especially because of the fact that I thought I was giving this 5 stars, which, spoiler alert, did not happen. Book number 2 is a book I have since on hold, and I loved the first book, and I think it is safe to say that I hated the second book, and that is The Damned by Renee Ahdieh. This is the sequel to The Beautiful, and The Beautiful is about a girl that moves to New Orleans and gets in touch with vampires. People start dying, there's this type of murder suspense in there, which I thought was really interesting. I didn't really like the ending of The Beautiful, but it was interesting enough to continue reading. Also, Renee Ahdieh wrote The Wrath and the Dawn, and me giving a book that is by hers the least amount of stars, or like 2 stars, because I'm pretty sure I gave it 2 stars, it just broke my heart. Absolutely broke my heart. I didn't enjoy any moment of reading the second book. The main protagonists no longer feel like themselves. There are tropes in there that I just don't like. Plot development, character developments, and I'm just a sad little bee. So that's my second book. I think the third one, which is called The Righteous, has just been released, and I've also not heard great things about that one, so I'm definitely not continuing with the series. I mean, I unhauled it for a reason, and I hope that whoever picked them up loves them a lot more than I did. I definitely was not a fan of this one. Speaking of books that disappointed me a ton, this is a book that I loved its first book in this duology, and that's Mahimata by Rati Mehrotra. I actually talked about Markswoman in the first video of the week on I think it's my most surprising list, and I absolutely ate up every single minute of that first book. The second book, no. the characters no longer feel like themselves. There's this type of love in there that's just, I wouldn't call it toxic, but it's just not for me. The way in which this ends, I struggled with this book. I struggled every minute that I read it. I wasn't keen to read it. It was just so disappointing, considering the fact that I think that Marked Woman is one of my absolute favorites of the year and my most surprising of the year, because I had expected to like it, but I hadn't expected to love it to the amount that I do. This one, the sequel, it is also way longer than the first one was, and I feel like not even half of what was done in the first book was done in this one. Like, I don't necessarily think it's a bad book, it's just not how I wanted the duology to continue and to end, if that makes sense. Like, the first one had so much premise and so much, like, there was so much I was rooting for, and this one was just another of those young adult endings where it also feels like everything just fits too nicely and everything is wrapped up very quickly and very easily. So yeah, this was sadly not for me, though I still have to say that Mark's one was one of my absolute favorites. This one, however, not so much. Next up is the book that I read most recently, and that is In a Holidays, and this is my only DNF of the year. I rarely DNF books, at least try to finish them or rush read through them, skim through them, in any case, finish them. This one, I read up until the 62%, I think, and then I just quit altogether. This book was not bad, but it's not for me. It was really repetitive. The characters had nothing that really interested me. The banter and the way in which these characters talk to each other, not for me. Even the way that the atmosphere and the setting was set up was lackluster at best for me. And I recognize that this is a book that a lot of people will really enjoy, but considering I probably came from the never reading contemporary romance spectrum, I have a feeling that is also the reason why I didn't like this. Like, I read some of the most popular ones first, like the On Honeymooners and the Love Hypothesis, and it just lacked for me. So yeah, that's it for that one. Speaking of contemporary romance, I do have two honorable mentions here because I've just recently finished those, and that is Safety in Numbers, which is about a woman that is struggling with a brain injury, and that one just really, really fell flat, and the characters were just really, really flat. And I also have, I don't even remember the name of this one, that's how bad it is. The Unexpected Fall, I think it's called. You'll have seen the cover here. That's basically about a girl working in the music industry, and then she gets the opportunity to make a song with a coworker, and this coworker is the one that she hates about out of everyone in this company, and I just feel like their relationship was so incredibly toxic, and no, it was just not for me. I skimmed through them. It was nothing wrong with the book, it just didn't connect with me at all. So those are two honorable mentions. Let's just move on to the next book, because there's a couple on here that you will probably not like me talking about. So let's continue. So next up is a book that I read for the Enchanted Book Club, and that is The Wolf and the Woodsman by Ava Reid. This is one of those books where there's, technically speaking, nothing wrong with the book. It's just not for me. I feel like there were a lot of things that were not specified. There were a lot of things that were sort of put up as mysteries in the beginning of the book, but never got a real answer for, which, please, if you write a standalone, at least tie up all of the loose ends. The characters in general, like, they were good, they're okay, but nothing that I really connected with. I also had a severe lack of wolf for a title that says The Wolf and the Woodsman. I mean, I get it, because the main character is supposedly one of these wolf girls. Still, would have liked real wolves, would have made this better. And the woodsman also, it's not really a woodsman. Like, I get the entire idea of the retelling of Red Riding Hood, but it's just, it was very, very mediocre, I would say. Like, it's okay. I don't hate it, but I also didn't love it. It was like one of those 3 stars. But I was really, really disappointed by this because of the fact that I expected to really, really love this. I was hoping this was going to be something along the lines of Sky in the Deep by Adrian Young, so one of those sort of anxious romance with struggle kind of books, if that makes sense. It was definitely not that. It was that, but just not the way I would have wanted it to be that. I'm trying to stay off of the spoilers here, which is kind of difficult. But yeah, in general, just one of those books that I was really disappointed by because I had a lot higher expectations, and I have a feeling that I'll probably unhaul this somewhere soon. Right, so I have 2 more books on this list, and I think both of them are really controversial. So let's just start with the first one, which I have good reason not to like. Let me start by saying that. This is a book that is urban fantasy, and that's the reason why I don't like it. Please, I am not trying to trash your favorite book, but I know that a lot of people have absolutely loved this book. And that's Legendborn by Tracy Deonn. This is an Arthurian retelling set in modern day. And our main protagonist goes to university, and one way or another she finds this secret Arthurian environment, or this secret cult kind of thing. And there's magic in here, and weird monsters, and an interesting love interest. Let me keep it at that. I feel like the values and the way in which the story is written is really important. Our main protagonist is black, and she is the only one within a completely white society, especially within this Arthurian club cult. And the way in which she struggles with this and the way in which she's perceived is really enlightening to read. And this is also not the reason why I didn't enjoy this book, because I think that it's a really important fantasy book, urban fantasy book. The reason why I didn't like it was too, I would have wanted a lot more magic and a lot more fantasy. I am not that person that likes fantasy stories that are rooted in real life. So with certain urban fantasies, if it has mostly fantasy and then a little bit of the real world, I like it. If it is mostly real world, which is the case with this one, and then a little bit of fantasy, I don't like it. And I don't know why that is, but at least I have found sort of my niche within urban fantasy, and I sort of realize what I usually like and don't like. Also, the fact that this book is incredibly info dumpy. Like, the first, I don't know, like 200 pages is like info dump about this world, and then after the, I don't know, the 200 mark, so you finally sort of understand, and then another thing is introduced, and another info dump, and I just couldn't get through it. And, well, I mean, I got through it, I finished it, but it's definitely not for me, and I am sorry if this is your favorite book. I just don't read these types of books because I don't enjoy them, and I think I will probably unhaul this at some point too. I have one more book on this list, and this is a troublesome book, because technically speaking, there's nothing wrong with this book. I just didn't enjoy it, but I'm in a read-along for this series, which is not great because I really don't want to continue, and that's the 5th season by N.K. Jemisin. This is about multiple POVs in this high fantasy world, all surrounding seasons. You have sort of a season which is where basically the entire world is thrown into chaos. I don't even know how to explain it because that's how confusing this book is. I didn't understand most of this up until the end, where there was a big revelation where I just quite honestly didn't really care about it. I read this book and I finished this book because of the fact that I had a live show on it. When we had the live show, I can see that this book does interesting things, and I can see that it does good things. Do I like it though? No. I think I actually said this in a reading vlog that I really I gave it 2 stars. I did up it to 3 stars because I feel like it is still a solid book. But enjoyment-wise, definitely 2. I'm actually supposed to read the second book right now, and the third book also right now, because the live show for the third one is in next month. But I am not the only one who's not really enjoying this. I've heard from Charlotte and Jane, who have started the second book. I have started the second book, but Charlotte was the first to start the second book, which is the Obelisk Gate, and she wasn't enjoying it, and she had quite a bit of praise for the first one, so that doesn't it gives me no hope. And then Jane started it and also really didn't enjoy it. I read the first 60 or 70 pages, I think, and I just don't care. I don't understand, and I feel like I don't want to understand, so I have a feeling that I will get rid of this entire trilogy. I understand that it is a good book, and it's an interesting book, and I might like it a lot more somewhere along the lines, but right now, yeah, I just, no. Definitely a 2-star for me. Most of these have been 2 or 3 stars. I mean, I can see that some of these books are really good, and they're well written. I just didn't enjoy them, which makes a disappointing book, I suppose. That's why I said that these are disappointing books and not the worst books of the year, if that makes sense. They're disappointing to me, and they could be your absolute favorite book. So if they are, I'm very sorry, because I'm not trying to say that your favorite book is bad. I'm just trying to say that I didn't enjoy it. Those are all 7 of the books, plus 2 extras that I wanted to talk about, and I am really disappointed by these, but it's sort of solidified what I like in books and what I don't like in books, which is, it's interesting to see how I sort of developed a bit more of understanding of what I like and what I don't like, but nonetheless, disappointing books for me. Also, it would be great if you can comment down below one of your most disappointing reads of the year, so something that maybe you thought you would absolutely enjoy but didn't. And that's it for this video. I want to thank you all so much for watching. Please subscribe to our channel and press that little bell icon so you get post notifications every single time that we post, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!